On this episode of Bondi Vet, what is it about this beautiful dog that has everyone guessing?
This is so incredibly rare that, honestly, I'm totally confused.
Tim is confronted with a young falcon in serious trouble.
There's something that stands out straight away to me. That's a big worry.
Lisa under pressure to help a puppy trampled on by his owner.
Wilson is tiny. There's a chance that he's got some massive internal injuries. Oh, buddy.
And Chris faces off with a dangerous patient.
It sounds like a machine gun and essentially means the same thing. Back off.
You make my world a better place.
Yes.
Can we get you walking again soon?
That's good.
I can't depend on you.
Come, Seth.
5-month-old Saphira is arriving at the Bondi clinic to be desexed.
We want to get her desexed, but we just want to get her checked out because she's actually leaking.
Owners Lorraine, Joe and Maddie are worried their Border Collie puppy could have a serious problem.
Oh, it's a bit of a concern. We're hoping maybe if she gets desexed, it should fix it up.
This way, come on.
It's not that abnormal for dogs to leak urine when they're a little bit excited or when they're old. But for Saphira at her age to be doing it on quite a large scale is a bit of a worry.
She might be lying in bed and all of a sudden she'll get up and there's a big wet patch.
But it's like every day, constant.
Let's take this nappy off. Can I just get you just to hold her up there?
Hey, Seth.
That's not exactly what I expected.
What's the...
Well, she just doesn't look entirely normal there. I know that Joe and Lorraine are staring at me going, why is he taking so long to speak? But Safi is not your typical female dog. Do you mind if I just take her at the back just for a second?
Is this something we should be worried about?
I just want to have a closer look.
Okay.
Yeah. When I look at Saphira's belly, honestly, I'm totally confused.
Let's get in and have a look at you, hey? Oh, you got a bit of attitude. I've just picked up a peregrine falcon. I've been told that he could have a potential head injury, so we'll find out.
At the Australian Reptile Park, General Manager Tim Faulkner is concerned about a peregrine falcon that was found lying on the ground at a local park.
This is the fastest animal on Earth, over 300 k's an hour. What that means is that they're a heavy-bodied bird. If he fledged and he wasn't quite ready to fly, he's going to hit the ground really hard, and that's what might have happened.
Before beginning an examination, Tim decides his new patient needs a name.
What about Malcolm? Malcolm the Falcon. You like that? Malcolm the Falcon? Let's have a look at you, mate. His wings look good. No obvious breaks. He's only a young bird. You see up here on the top? These white feathers? That's the down, the chick down. So he's at a point where he's just left the nest, he's just fledged.
Tim is convinced Malcolm hasn't suffered any critical injuries to his body. His attention now turns to the falcon's head.
And there's something that stands out straight away to me, and that is, I wave my hand here, and the head turns, he can see the hand. I put my hand here, on the left side, he's not reacting at all. That's a big worry. He can't live in the wild with one eye. He needs two. Their vision allows them to see many hundreds of metres to isolate a particular prey item. And without both of them, there's no future for him in the wild. I think we better get you to the vet, mate, and have a good look at you, hey?
Neil, a hand here, mate. She's in for desexing, but also she's leaking urine.
Okay.
That's not even why I brought her out.
Back at the Bondi clinic, a routine desexing has turned into a veterinary mystery. Saphira is incontinent, an extremely unusual condition for a 5-month-old puppy.
Wow, that's really unusual.
Her vulva is not only in the wrong place, it's further forward than it should be, but it's actually facing the wrong direction. And I reckon where you'd normally see a scrotum on a male dog, she's almost got loose skin there as well. She's got mixed genitalia.
Okay.
So that makes her a hermaphrodite.
No.
Yeah. This is so incredibly rare that I know a lot of vets that have never seen a hermaphrodite in their entire veterinary career. So it's a big day in the clinic.
And hermaphrodite has both male and female organs.
I've probably been here about 15 years and I've never ever seen anything like this before. It's really quite unusual. If she's coming to be desexed, then how do you know which bits to remove?
Well, that's the thing. She may have both internally. I reckon this is why she's having this urine leakage as well. You can only imagine inside, with all those different parts, all those different tubes, somewhere there's been a wrong connection, and that's probably why she's leaking urine. When you realise that Lorraine and Joe have come in to have Safi desexed, I'm sure that they never expected that I'm about to walk in there and tell them that their little girl, maybe a boy, maybe a bit of both. It's not going to be easy.
Good boy.
A squad of police officers has descended on the Bondi Referral Hospital SASH. The 4-legged ones are here to perform an important public duty. They're donating blood.
We have dogs here that need blood transfusions all the time for autoimmune diseases, for traumas, for surgeries, for anemia, and often our stock levels run low, so that's why we have our own blood bank so that we can take blood and replenish our stocks whenever we need. Hello. Cora, this is you. And Oscar, do I get a hello? Thank you for coming. The 2 dogs we have today are newcomers. They've never donated blood before, so we have to start from scratch. We have to do a full physical examination on them, run some blood tests, make sure that they're healthy on the inside and out before they can give blood to another patient. Gotta check that everything's nice and healthy. Yes, beautiful boy.
Good boy.
Good boy, Oscar.
Good boy.
Oh, buddy, I didn't even put it in there.
Hey.
What a performance.
Yeah.
He doesn't want a bar of it. Yeah, you gotta have a temperature, otherwise you can't donate. Good boy, Oscar. That's the way. Oh.
Lost it. Oh.
I'm just trying to get his temperature. It's not even gonna hurt him, and he's carrying on like it's the end of the world. We've got backup. All right, let's go for it. Doing really well.
Good boy.
Excellent! Yay, Oscar! Good boy! Good boy!
With his temperature finally taken, Lisa now needs to get a blood sample from the apprehensive Oscar to check for any diseases.
I know this is not as fun as your normal work.
If it's all clear, Oscar will get the go-ahead for a life-saving donation.
Good boy.
It's really brave.
Good boy.
Perfect, Oscar. Good boy.
Oh, who's a good boy?
Police dogs are so well looked after, but these dogs go in all sorts of environments and you can never be 100% sure. So that's why we run the blood test. Good girl. Gotta make sure you're not sick, sweetie, because you're the donor. You gotta be nice and healthy.
Next, it's Cora's turn, and she's already outranked Oscar.
More kisses.
Very cruisy, laid-back dog, so I'm sure she's more than happy to help.
She's definitely passed the physical exam, so we're just to see if she passes the blood test. And if she does that, then she's ready to be a donor. Cora was a stellar patient. Good girl. Her tail didn't stop wagging. She was fantastic. All right, so let's run these blood tests on her. When we get the results, we'll hopefully be able to go ahead. Yay, Cora! Yay, Cora!
Sophia, how do we explain this one, huh?
At the Bondi clinic, 5-month-old Sophia was scheduled for a routine desexing, but while examining the pup, Chris has made a shock discovery.
So,
He now needs to break the news to the pup's owners Lorraine and Joe and their niece Maddie.
she has her female parts down there, but she also has some evidence of male parts as well.
Okay.
She looks like she is a hermaphrodite.
Okay.
I just want you to know exactly what you're taking on here, because when people discover that dogs are hermaphrodites and that there is a problem with their plumbing, some people don't want to take that on. And those people often look at putting their dogs down.
No. No. Not even an option.
Yeah.
Not even an option. Definitely, don't make me cry. No. No. It's not going to happen.
As far as conversations go in a vet clinic, that's one of the strangest. But thankfully, Joe and Lorraine absolutely adore this dog and they'll stand by her through anything. If you don't mind, what I'd like you to do today is go up and see Andrew at Sash, because that is going to be the key to unlocking why she's leaking urine.
Well, whatever she needs done for her, we'll do.
This started off as being a simple desexing, and now they're off to Sash for a scan to tell them whether their dog's a boy or a girl or both, and really how they can fix this leaking bladder and how they can have it desexed. It's all of a sudden got very complicated. Fingers crossed it's all okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
See ya.
Okay, see you later.
All right, next step.
Hey,
Jimmy, how are you?
good thanks, mate. How are you?
I'm all right. What have you got?
Malcolm the Falcon. Yeah.
Tim has arrived at the Green Cross Vets in Wyoming, 5 minutes from the Australian Reptile Park.
He was found in the wild. He looks like he's just left the nest. He was captured, which is a concern to start with, that someone was able to get a hold of him.
Sure.
And he got brought into the park. Come on, Mal.
Tim is hoping Dr. Peter Nosworthy can confirm the extent of the eye damage Malcolm sustained after falling from his nest.
We're going to have to sedate him so I can have a better look at the eye, and then we'll take an X-ray.
Good boy. I'm looking to see whether there's any damage at the back of his eye. I'd say that he's got a little bit of billowing in the back of the eye, so he's got a detached retina. So we'll see what the X-ray tells us.
Detached retina means blind.
Means blind.
I'm really worried about him now because we've confirmed that he's got eye damage, but hopefully there's nothing worse.
So we've had a whack top of the skull. It's cracked that bone. All right.
And what, that pushes the retina forward?
Yes, it's pushed the eye forward as a trauma sort of thing, as you can imagine, from a whack behind the head, and has detached the retina.
The retina can never be repaired, so Malcolm must now live in captivity.
I'm pretty disappointed, but on the upside, we can give him a good life. And, you know, if he was still in the wild, he would be dead. He would stand no chance. There's no place for a one-eyed peregrine falcon.
Sex do I put for her?
Female.
Then question mark.
At Sash, Lorraine, Joe and Maddie have brought in one of Australia's rarest patients for a consultation.
Come on, sweetie.
Come on, Seth. Hey.
Chris has sent Saphira here to me today because he's taken one look at her and gone, this ain't right, she's a hermaphrodite. That in itself is not a problem, but she's leaking urine as well, and that is a problem.
Oh,
there she goes.
That's interesting.
Hermaphrodites possess both male and female genitalia. For most vets, it's a once-in-a-career case.
He's a bit odd back there. Her vulva looks like a vulva, but it's trying to migrate forward, so it's trying to be a prepuce and a penis. So she's an in-betweenie, for sure. If we leave the incontinence, they do end up miserable because they get skin infections where the urine's leaking out. But worse than that is she might have been born with kidneys that aren't functioning well. If she's got that, I mean, she won't live past 2. That's the scanner that she'll be in later.
Oh, right, okay, yep.
A CT scan is now required to discover more about Saphira's mysterious anatomy.
I'm trying to be calm. Just wait and see what happens, because otherwise their mind's going to get too far ahead and then I'll get too upset.
Look, it is a tough day for Lorraine and Joe. They, thought she was just going to get sexed and, oh, yeah, she's got a little bit of a problem, can we give her a pill? And it suddenly turned into something that's bigger than Ben-Hur.
All you gotta do is just lie nice and still here.
At SASH, the real test of courage is about to begin for rookie blood donors Cora and Oscar.
There we go, we're in.
Get out.
After several tests, Lisa has given the canine cops a clean bill of health.
Good girl.
Very good.
Doing so well. She is the ideal candidate and her blood is going to save another life. And that's it. She's all done. I'll just put a little bandage on your neck. I don't have neck band-aids, so this is what we have. But you look good, don't you? Oscar was such a sook when I was taking his temperature. He just would not stay still. And then when I did his blood test, he was surprisingly good. So I just don't know which way this is going to go, but for his blood donation, he has to be still.
Oscar. Good boy.
I've got Oscar up on the table and he's actually lying there like an angel. He is so still, he's going to fall asleep. I am so surprised. I am so sorry for doubting you, buddy.
You're such a good boy.
He's definitely shown me up. He's proven me very wrong and exceeded all my expectations.
He was such a good boy. He laid still for nearly the whole thing and very proud of him. Good on you, Oscar.
That's 2 lives saved. Yes, it is. Thank you, Oscar. Thank you, buddy boys. Oscar and Cora, newcomers to the blood bank, they were fantastic. So I would love to have them back for more, as long as they're willing to.
Good boy. You need a good feed. You're a bit skinny.
After being diagnosed with a fractured skull and a detached retina, Malcolm has been returned to the Australian Reptile Park.
Malcolm needs nursing. He's had a head injury and he's lost sight in one eye, so he's pretty fragile at the moment. He needs some TLC. He's a bit clumsy, but he's trying. Yeah, if I get it in, is that better? Good boy, mate. I'm going to keep Malcolm in a small cage for the time being. He's had a head injury, so the last thing I want is to put him into a big aviary where he's a bit scared and he bashes himself around and hurts himself more. So he'll stay in that little cage until he's eating well and he's not so scared of our presence, and then we'll move him into a bigger cage where he can stretch his wings and start and develop.
Gosh, we don't see this very often.
No, we don't.
Saphira's CT scan is now underway at SASH.
Oh, good girl.
The initial diagnosis has indicated that being a rare hermaphrodite may be the least of the puppy's problems.
We know she's leaking urine. We don't know why. We don't know what part of her urinary tract is not functioning properly. So we need to do a CT scan using dye that we'll give intravenously. That'll highlight the kidneys and then highlight the bladder and the entire urinary tract. The bladder should be essentially spherical or balloon-shaped, and yet she's got this big bit kicking out here to the right. That's weird.
Even the CT scans are providing more questions than answers.
The fact that she's a hermaphrodite is making this even more difficult to interpret. We're not dealing with male anatomy, we're not dealing with female anatomy, we're sort of dealing with a combination of both. And incontinence cases can be hard enough to diagnose if you've either got a girl or a boy. But when we've got this combination, it's making it really tricky to figure out what we're doing.
The case is so confusing, Andrew has decided to make Saphira a global issue.
I think we need a specialist CT radiologist to have a look at it.
The puppy's scans will now be emailed to a team of specialist radiologists in England. The results should be back tomorrow morning.
I'll have to wait to give a final decision or verdict, if you like, till we've had that done.
Look, the good thing is the kidneys seem to be fine.
Oh, good.
So that's good. But what I can't really figure out is what's happening to the tubes after they come out of the kidneys, where they're going in, and then what's happening after that. I think we need to keep her here overnight. I'm sorry. I wish I could give you a clear-cut answer, but veterinary medicine is not always like that. Joe and Lorraine, they're amazing. They just want the best for her. But whether I can actually fix her problem surgically, I don't know.
So what's the story with the Peccary today?
Yeah, his Peccary's been a bit lame for quite a while now, on and off, and we think that his hooves are overgrown, so we need to get our hands on him to check that out and see what we can do about it.
Sounds easy. It's not going to be easy, though, is it?
Chris has been called to the Adelaide Zoo to help a very strange-looking creature.
So, the Peccary. Never heard of one? Well, there's only 10 in Australia. 3 of them are at Adelaide Zoo. They are aggressive little units. Not much bigger than a wombat, but their teeth, they're bigger than a lion's.
Percy is 17 years old and the senior citizen is struggling to walk.
So the issue's been just what the nails are overgrowing?
Yeah, that's the main thing that we're looking at. He's been walking a little bit oddly at the moment, and overgrown nails is one of the main things that we can identify remotely that might be causing that. So getting our hands on him to have a good look at those, give him a bit of a hoof trim to boot.
So a boy's got to get a bit of a manicure and pedicure, huh?
Indeed, yeah.
Doesn't look like the type that would really enjoy it, though.
Well, sometimes you've got to grin and bear it.
Listen to that sound. I've never heard anything like that before in my life. It sounds like a machine gun. And essentially means the same thing. Back off.
The hoof trim is scheduled for tomorrow.
What's the plan? How are we actually going to get them down so we can trim these nails?
Certainly we'll go in with a dart gun to get our hands on them. I'm not really about to approach them without that, and if you want to, then be my guest. Yeah, they are dangerous animals. We don't work in with them at all. We certainly have a healthy dose of respect for them. As I said, they're really hard to defend yourself against. They're really fast, they're strong, they've got sharp teeth, and they could really do some damage to you.
Please find attached the report for Sophia. This is a complicated case. There you go, Sherlock.
Next morning, surgeon Andrew Marchevsky arrives at SASH to find a response from the specialist team in England about his rare hermaphrodite patient, Sophia.
They couldn't find where the left ureter went either.
Overnight, the radiologists have studied Sophia's scans, but have they come up with an answer as to why the 5-month-old puppy is constantly leaking urine?
They're going to get a second opinion as well. It makes me feel a little bit less stupid. This will be, I'm sure, a little disappointing for Lorraine and Joe, because I think, you know, they were expecting CT, there's the answer, surgery today, all fixed, but it's just not going to be that way. To be honest, I mean, they've given us some results, but at the end of it, they said, we need a second opinion as well. Now we're getting a third opinion. It's probably a little more complex than I was hoping.
A lot more complex than what Lorraine and Joe could ever have imagined. Andrew is hoping diagrams may help them understand this bewildering medical condition.
This is a female dog, so what happens is the urethra comes up, empties into the floor of the vagina, and then empties out through there. Normal male anatomy is bladder, around the pubis, out here, and it comes out through the penis. What she's got is, I think, a mixture of the two. We know that we've got one ureter coming in here, we've got another one, we're not sure where it goes. But she's got this other opening that's going up into a little blind pocket, like a sac, that's filling up with urine, and then it's sitting there, and then eventually, when it gets too full, it leaks out. So I think that's where the leakings come from, I think.
Okay.
It's hard enough trying to explain this to your colleague, but trying to explain it to a couple of owners who all they want to do is get their female dog desexed. Hopefully they're following it all, because I know it's hard.
What would happen if we didn't do any of this? If we just took her home and put nappies on her?
I'm concerned that she'll get low-grade urinary tract infections, especially if we've got urine pooling in here. You know. If we leave it as it is, I'm worried she'll get chronic infections in her bladder, which will lead to chronic kidney infections, and that can be fatal. So we just need to stop that happening. So, as I said, we'll do some more tests and we'll see what an answer we get from there. Come on, Safiri. Go and do it all again, huh?
Yeah.
A little bit different this time.
So we'll make up a diet. We've got a few drugs here that we need to draw up to get into the beast.
At Adelaide Zoo, Chris is ready to take on the aggressive Percy. Overgrown nails have made the Peccary lame, and an urgent hoof trim is needed.
So we're not going to send Chris in unprepared. We're going to set him up with some good drugs and a dart pistol so we can get those drugs into him remotely and hopefully keep him well out of harm's way. So have you had much to do with peccaries or wild pigs before?
Yeah, I haven't done much with peccaries, but wild pigs and I have a fairly colourful history together.
Good.
You shouldn't be put off by that.
This is a pretty special cocktail of drugs, so I'm hoping it's going to be enough to send Percy to sleep. But you never truly know until you're right next to him.
G'day, Henrik.
Hi, guys. We're ready for you.
Henrik, this is Chris.
Hi, Chris.
He's giving us a hand with our Peccary today.
They're your kids, are they?
Yeah, my kids, yeah. He's not very happy, but we're ready for you.
Right, he's in a good spot now. Just got to wait. Just waiting for him to spin around and show me his backside. That's where I need to go. Steady, buddy, steady. You see that? It's just bounced off his rump. It's just a really thick skin there, so it's gone in and just basically just rebounded straight off just because there's so much muscle and the skin there is so incredibly tough. So, same drugs as before, just what we're going to do is just add a little bit of extra power, a bit of more oomph. So we just put a bit more gas into the actual dart gun itself. That should make a difference. It's going to be a lot more wary now. So this shot really has to make it.
We have the emergency here.
Hi, I'm Lisa.
How are you?
At Sash, 14-week-old Wilson is in agony after a game of chasey turned into disaster.
Might just take him out the back and I'll pop back out and have a chat to you.
No worries. My little sister and her friend were having a play with the dog, I guess, and they were chasing him around and he was jumping. So my sister jumped up on her bed, jumped off the bed and landed on Wilson and could hear the screaming and didn't know what was going on. So I ran upstairs, grabbed the dog, ran him here.
Oh, okay, all right, okay. When a little dog comes in like this and it's been jumped on, it's so small that he could have really been injured anywhere. So I've just got to start at his head and work down to the tail and assess every part of his body for injuries. And his pupils are symmetrical and responding normally. That does make brain damage less likely. I'm a little bit worried about this left shoulder. And you can't always feel if something's broken, but he's certainly not liking it at all. I definitely think he's had a big knock to that leg. Oh, buddy, you've got a sore leg. Wilson is tiny. He's only 1.3 kilos and a teenager has jumped on him. There's a chance that he's got some massive internal injuries.
It's going to be a lot more wary now. So this shot really has to make it.
At the Adelaide Zoo, Chris is attempting to sedate a very angry Percy.
Okay. Yep, got it. Yeah. He's just running around a lot now just because he can feel the dart in his leg, but he'll start to settle in a little while. And once he settles, those drugs should start going into his system and hopefully it should be down pretty soon.
It looks like the anaesthetic is taking effect, but we can't begin this procedure until we're 100% sure that he is asleep. If we go in there and he's not, we're all in really big trouble.
He's looking pretty close to being down there.
Yep, I reckon we're just about good to go in, Chris. So if you want to choose your weapon of choice, and let's trust our anaesthetic.
We'll take the big broom. All right. See him through here?
Yep.
So I can tell how deep he is just by tapping near his eye. And he blinks, but he's not shaking his head or doesn't seem too aware of that.
There's a little bit of urgency in doing these nail trims because we just don't have that long with him under anaesthetic. Percy's an older peccary, so the less time he's under, the better off he's going to be.
Jeez, look at those. They're incredible, aren't they?
Now he's asleep, I can have a look at those teeth. They are weapons. Each time they bite down, they create a sharper and sharper point. It's no wonder the keepers won't get in with Percy.
So we'll do a little dogogram because he's so tiny.
3-month-old Wilson is about to undergo a full-body X-ray to see if he sustained any internal injuries after being accidentally trampled on by one of his teenage owners.
He could have damage to his chest, to his abdomen, to his spine. He could have broken legs. We really, really need to get those X-rays and have a good look inside him to see if there's any major injuries. Hey, settle down, baby. Good boy. Can't see any obvious rib fractures. All his ribs look really nice and there's no obvious breaks in his front legs. I mean, if you look at the size of Wilson and then you look at the size of a teenage girl, if she's jumping on the bed and lands on him, that's a lot of impact going onto a tiny little body. He's really, really lucky. I thought it would be a lot worse. Buddy, it's good news. I know it seems like your world is ending, but nothing's broken. So the plan now is really just rest. There's nothing more we can do for the injury. It's like it's soft tissue. It's like a strain or a bruise to the shoulder. We're going to give him some pain relief, just monitor his breathing, make sure that there's no deterioration, and if all is well, he'll be able to go home and recuperate there. We'll look after him, hey, buddy?
Helena can now go home and pass on the news to her remorseful little sister.
She's in shock. She just called me about 3 times, stressing out at home. She's trying to figure out what's happening. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. And I'll be calling you with some news, hopefully not too bad, yeah.
Where are you, Safi? We've just got the second lot of results back and they're about as helpful as the first lot.
5-month-old hermaphrodite puppy Saphira is proving to be one of Andrew Marchevsky's most baffling cases.
You're a bit of an enigma, aren't you? Enigma wrapped in a puzzle.
Despite a battery of tests and 2 sets of CT scans sent overseas for specialist analysis, what's causing the puppy's incontinence is still a frustrating mystery.
Lorraine and Joe have agreed that we've just got to take her to surgery now and find out exactly what's going on and get her fixed. Come on, let's go. At some point, you just got to draw a line in the sand and say, right, let's get in there. Hey, sweet, you're a problem. There are people all over the world scratching their heads and squabbling. Come on then, we'll get you sorted. I mean, if we can't fix her today, she'll end up with chronic incontinence, chronic infections. She'll be miserable. Like, there'll be just discomfort all the time and she could get really sick. So we really need to get it sorted today to give her a good life. Here we go.
The pressure on Andrew is enormous.
I've never seen anything like this, no.
This is a career first for one of Australia's most experienced and respected veterinary surgeons.
Hermaphrodites are really rare. Hermaphrodites with major plumbing problems are even rarer. So if I see another case like this in my career, I'd be lucky. Where we need to get at, stuck right underneath her pubic bone. The only way I'm going to be able to get to that is if I split her pelvis open. All right, well, I think we're going to have to do this.
With clear access to Saphira's abdomen, Andrew can now see a small hole in the puppy's urethra.
It's just starting to see where the urine's been pooling. But basically what I've done now is I've actually tied off the join between the uterus and the urethra. So it can't pull anymore. So that's her uterus, testicles, and the start of the penis. It's all a bit confusing, really. We basically got rid of what I think is causing the problem and then de-sexed her along the way. That is that.
Finally, Saphira's groundbreaking surgery is over.
It went really well. It was really challenging. But look, the only way we'll know if we've been successful is she stops leaking urine. So it's going to take us a little while before we know whether we've been a success or not.
So yeah, his feet are obviously pretty long. It's mostly those outside claws on each foot that I think we need to focus on.
Back at the Adelaide Zoo, Chris is about to begin Percy's much-needed pedicure.
Really the problem has been the fact these nails have been so long that he's really been tripping over them and he hasn't been able to walk in a normal way. He's had to really adjust the way his feet are sitting on the ground to accommodate these massively long nails. They're almost like a pair of shoes that's way too big for him. So because of that, he's had to alter the way he walks, which has caused a bit of secondary arthritis and a bit of lameness. Having this done for him right now will make a huge difference. All that pain, all that discomfort's going to disappear and he's going to be wearing shoes the right size.
While Percy's out for the count, Chris gives him an anti-inflammatory injection to help combat his arthritis.
The final little injection should make his walking a bit more smooth. Okay, carrying through. So you happy with this here?
Yeah.
Just got to move a bit quickly here.
No, he's had his reversal drugs. We'll just leave him quietly by himself to wake up calmly. He could wake up any time, really, in the next 5 to 10 minutes, and it can be quite sudden. So we want to be sort of well out of the road when he does that.
This is always a tricky time. I want to hang around long enough to make sure he's okay, but when he finally does wake up, he's not going to be happy. He's going to go looking for the guy that put a dart in his behind. And that person was me. Yeah, he's just starting to stir now.
Yeah. Welcome back to the world, buddy.
Yeah. All right, you can just see he's just about to stand up now. Yeah, okay, he's up now. So he's a bit wobbly, but he's up. Easy, buddy, easy. You can just see he's come to and he's just a bit confused. You can see, even though he's able to stand up and move around, he's not really doing much coordination, even with his new shoes.
This is the best part of the procedure, knowing that we'll wake up the other end and everything's gone well. So.
It's a good result, and I've got to say it's been amazing being that close to what is a pretty bizarre creature. I'm a bit disappointed though. This is the first time I've ever done anything involving anything close to a pig and not been bleeding, sweating, cursing, and leave with my pride destroyed.
Sorry to disappoint you.
Good job though.
Thanks,
Thank
Chris.
you. No worries.
Thanks, Chris. Cheers.
Thanks very much. See you, buddy.
Wilson, good morning. You're happy to see me today. Feel better? Yeah.
A day after being accidentally jumped on by one of his teenage owners, little Wilson has made an amazing recovery.
He's definitely not as sore as he was last night. His shoulder's much more comfortable. He's letting me have a good feel of it. He's not shrieking out in pain, and he's acting like a normal puppy, so I think he's going to be ready to go home.
Wilson's owners, Helena and Jess, are relieved the ordeal is finally over.
He's just so small and he just runs so fast, and I accidentally stepped on him. He just laid there. It was so scary.
It was so unsettling knowing that he wasn't okay, and so the house wasn't quite the same for the night.
You want to go home?
Hey, hello. This is a really good outcome for everyone. I mean, it could have been so much worse for little Wilson. He could have had some really serious injuries and he's come off pretty lightly.
I'm so sorry.
That arm is still not 100%. He's going to need a couple of weeks of really strict rest with no playing, no jumping, and I don't envy them looking after a 14-week-old puppy and trying to confine them. It's going to be a tough job.
It's a better day. It's a good day. Everyone's happy.
Righto, Malcolm. You've been in there long enough, mate. It's time to go into your new home. Got some food in there for you.
It's been 4 days since Malcolm suffered an horrific fall that resulted in a fractured skull and rendered him blind in one eye.
Welcome to your new home, buddy. Malcolm's been in a confined space, his little box, for a few days. And that was for his own benefit, so he couldn't hurt himself by knocking himself about. But he's eating well and he looks good, so it's time to go into a bigger home. You got a room with a view, mate. This is the best aviary in the house. Malcolm's future is in captivity, but that's a positive. In the wild, it was a one-way street. He faced certain death. You do well in here, mate. You're halfway. The next stage could be to find him a girl. That will take a little bit of time. We need to know that he's good, and you know, those female peregrines, they're a handful, so Malcolm has to be strong and healthy. You look good, mate. You look real good.
Where are you, Saf? Settle, pedal. Settle, settle. I know, good. You're a good dog. You're very clever. Have you got a dry bed? That's a dry bed. Yes, it is. You're a very clever dog.
As for our hermaphrodite, it's been 5 days since Afira's operation to stop her incontinence, and it appears to have worked.
We've been keeping a really close eye over her the last couple of days, and the great news is she's got a dry bed, so she doesn't have pools of urine leaking while she's asleep anymore, and you know, she's fixed.
It's been an emotional journey for Joe and Lorraine, but it's been particularly hard on their daughter Casey, who hasn't seen her baby girl for more than a week.
She's all good now.
Who's that? Yahoo! Look out!
Hello, precious.
It's been a crazy story. Literally did lose sleep thinking, you know, once I got in there, was I going to be able to fix it? Because I didn't know. But to see her at the end of that fixed and jumping around like she's normal, is, you know, it's really satisfying. That's a pleasure.
Thank you for looking after her, all the staff, for looking after her the way they did.
It has been a pleasure.
And especially you, for...
And it was a good result. I'm not sure I want another patient like Sophia for a little while, because, you know, my brain can only handle so much.
Look at him.
Hi, I'm Dr. Danny. If you enjoyed this video, then please remember to subscribe to the Bondi Vet YouTube channel. Click on the screen now to continue watching more great content.